Sup flappers, welcome to another video. And yes, you guys see this screen, and every time we see this screen, people are like, oh no, he's doing one of those videos again. Yes, I am. All right, I've got people kind of pretty heated in the last couple of videos, and here and there be like, Walrus, you know what, like, you were really throwing curveballs left and right here. Now I really don't know who the hell I should be going for. Or of course there's always people like, Walrus, I don't give a damn what you say. Listen man, you're cool, but I don't give a damn about what you're saying about these characters. I'm going for who I want. And of course I respect everyone, whether you are wanting my opinion or you don't give a damn about an opinion. First and foremost, thank you for being here, all right? And thank you for supporting the content. Another thing is, I'm gonna be going live in a couple hours here right on YouTube, so if you're catching this video when it's just uploaded, chances are I'll be going live very soon, so maybe come by and you're free to debate and argue with me regarding my list here. But I'm going to keep it short and sweet, just my top 5 characters. Now, of course, this is going to include 4 stars and 5 stars, and I'll touch a little bit on their constellations, as not all characters are built the same, especially at C0. Some are just not fair. However, some can quickly overtake others once they get to certain constellations, and I hope this can also help people who are still earlier into the game, or even people who are kind of lost midway through the game, like, all right, you know what, who should I build next? These are some of the characters that has helped me out greatly, as well as just yielded good results with the investments that I've put into them. All right, now let's just get straight to the point, starting at number 5, and that, my friends, is of course Venti. Wow, Venti at number 5. Walrus has lost his damn mind, has he now? Now, did I? Realistically, did I? Because Venti is a character that I feel miHoYo has taken a lot of time and effort to make sure he doesn't break the game. All right, there are a lot of units in the game right now that doesn't allow Venti to fully utilize his kit. And get this, one of the reason why a character such as Kazuha, where is my boy Kazuha? Such as Kazuha is so popular and in demand is because Kazuha is able to deal with a lot of the issues that Venti is incapable of dealing with, mainly with big mobs that you cannot CC and pull together. Kazuha is a splendid unit overall, and he essentially covers for Venti's biggest weakness and then some. All right, so we'll talk, we might talk about this a little more, but I think I just want to leave this debate here. I don't want to get into a whole debate of Venti or Kazuha. They both do different things, and they're both amazing characters. But another thing about Venti is that even at C0, this character, just like Zhongli, you get him at C0, you slap a 4-piece Viridescent on him, and watch him demolish things. This character is so good at low investment. Even at Ascension 4, level 60, level 70, whatever, he can do his job completely fine because you're not reliant on Venti to do the damage. He's a facilitator and one of the best in the game. All right, with that said, let's move on, because this is a top 5 list and just not enough slots to put in all the best characters in the game. Now, for number 4, I'm gonna have to give it to Ganyu. Yes, the Coco Goat. You guys might think, oh, Walrus, I thought you might have this character a little higher up the list, but no, number 4 is where it's at. This is the thing, right? When it comes to these 5-star characters, a lot of you might think they deserve to be higher on the list, but it's about accessibility. It's not as easy to gain access to them, and even when you do, they do require a certain amount of investment. And in the case of Ganyu, she's definitely one of those characters that you can get your hands on if you so choose, but also don't eat an insane amount of investment. Of course, she can take as much investment as you're willing to dump into her, but at the same time, it isn't necessary for her to play in certain roles. And I do think her coverage speaks for itself. There's a lot of value in having a character that can do more than one thing. Of course, characters who can do one thing very good are also prized in their value, but when it comes to Ganyu, she can do more than one thing at a very high level, and I don't think I need to continuously to reiterate this to you guys, especially for people who follow my content. I do think Ganyu's true value has never been her high damage potential, but her flexibility as a character, as well as her cute demeanor. All right, with that said, let's move into number 3. Sitting at number 3 is everyone's favorite Liyue chef, and while I think at this point a lot of people are actually losing their minds in the comment section, a lot of people already clicked off, like, you know what, Venti at number 5, Xiangling at number 3, this guy is completely out of his mind. But let me tell you, right, the reason why I put Xiangling at number 3 is because of accessibility. Literally everyone who plays this game has Xiangling, and the usage of her in current Abyss iteration, as well as her flexibility. All right, I can't stress enough how amazing this character is. For the longest time, when people first started the game, they didn't really know her true potential. A lot of people at the time played her in physical DPS main carry position. Well, I'm not going to say that's bad, it's just not the most optimal way to use Xiangling. And now that we figured it out, she essentially is an invaluable piece of asset in everyone's account. Now, do keep note, if you want to unlock her true potential, you do need to get her to C4. Now, it's not a necessity to use her. It's not like me saying, wow, your Xiangling is in C4, don't even use her. You can use her. It's just C4 is where you're really gonna feel that power elevate. You're gonna feel comfortable using her, and her uptime just feels that much more relevant. Imagine the scene with Rock Lee taking off his weights during the Chunin exam. That's essentially what C4 is for Xiangling. You're gonna say Rock Lee wasn't good with his weights on? He was good, but with his weights off. That's what I'm saying, the C4 Xiangling. Right? And now the reason I put Xiangling above Ganyu and Venti, mostly, it's because of accessibility. Now, I know I say that, but does that mean the other two characters at number 2 and number 1 are more accessible even than Xiangling? No, that's not the case. I'm just saying the other characters that I'm about to put above Xiangling not only are flexible, but MiHoYo just hasn't found good enough ways to counter these characters and their mechanics, and in essence, they're almost uncounterable just due to their functionality, and you guys are gonna quickly see what I'm talking about. At number 2 is gonna be Xingqiu. Now, while Xingqiu is not as easily accessible, he is a 4-star character that you're gonna have to summon on certain banners, but let me tell you, this dude's utility just knows no bound. He is literally the centerpiece of so many top-tier teams, to the point where I oftentimes feel like I need 2 of this man to run fun teams in the Abyss. He is a centerpiece of a great freeze team. He's a facilitator to Hu Tao. He's also a great facilitator just generally for people who need that extra bit of damage. And when it comes to investment, as you can see, he's swinging the sword around, is a sacrificial sword using an R5 sacrificial sword, and this man just goes to town. His artifact is shared with Raiden Shogun as well, so farming for that artifact set, likely many people even can have him built all the way up to the top. What more do I need to introduce about this man? I think if you don't have Xingqiu somewhere on your top 5 list of characters in the game, you are probably either A, not experimenting with his teams, or B, you just don't have this man. I strongly think that maybe his position on this list can vary with either number 3 or maybe even number 1 for some people. Like, you know what, Xingqiu literally makes or breaks my team. I think that's how important this character is. Now, granted, I do urge you can try to get him to Constellation 2, and that does make him feel a lot more comfortable in using, but even at C0, he's still pretty solid. Granted, you do have the R5 sacrificial sword, and I think that's going to be the biggest thing for a lot of people, is getting that sacrificial sword to a high refinement. That's going to be more problematic for most people than getting Xingqiu, the character, to actually C2. All right, with that said, let's go into some honorable mentions, because I feel like a lot of people are going to get really pissed off at me if I don't at least do some honorable mentions. First honorable mention, of course, is going to be Raiden Shogun. She's a really solid character overall, and I know the hype for her is good. It's just that I don't feel like she's necessary. All right, all the other characters I feel like could be quite integral to certain team comps. Got the Morgana team with Ganyu. Venti is also in the Morgana team, one of the best teams available still currently in this iteration of the game, as well as Xiangling in the national team, followed by Xingqiu in certain freeze teams. I do feel like they all are a must-have in main meta teams that both I've played, and they're not just meta, it's also because they're hella a lot of fun. All right, it's very easy to use, and you get to draw out so much power from your units. Raiden Shogun doesn't really have that for me. While she's very fun to bring into a lot of different teams, and her utility in generating energy particles for your team is invaluable. I'm not saying she's not a good character, right? She is a phenomenal character. It's just, in my books, I wouldn't place her in a top 5 all-time character invested list, but she does deserve an honorable mention. Another character that deserves honorable mention is Kazuha. Now, if we had to do like a top 7 character list, he probably would have been in there. In fact, him and Venti, I had to really think about who I wanted to put at the number 5 spot, but I decided to go with Venti just because of how much miHoYo had to target Venti just to make him feel less relevant. That should speak volumes for how amazing the character is, and even now, currently, Venti can still be used in so many different ways. Even if he cannot suck up and immobilize the bigger enemies, he's still able to provide that huge AoE swirl and also generate energy particles back to the team through his talents, right? Venti kind of does what Raiden Shogun does, as well as offer that CC utility and swirl, viridescent, the shred, all the good stuff. I just don't think that I could have put Kazuha above Venti for those particular reasons, and who knows in the future how miHoYo is going to target Kazuha, but just letting you guys know, it was a very close pick between Kazuha and Venti. They do cover for each other's weaknesses fairly well. All right. Now, the third and final honorable mention, I do think I have to mention this, Bennett. And now, I think after mentioning Bennett, you guys already know who the number 1 pick is. Bennett, some time ago, I would have probably had him somewhere in the top 5 list, but nowadays, I just don't feel like he's as necessary as some of the other characters. Now, if there were a place to be swapped, I would likely put Venti at number 4, kick Ganyu out, and put Bennett at number 5 if I were to have to choose. But nowadays, if you ask me, do you pick up or heavily invest into a Bennett or a Ganyu? I probably would tell you guys Ganyu, right, if you guys had to choose. But then again, of course, Ganyu's a 5-star, Bennett's a 4-star. But Bennett, ever since a character like Goro comes out, it really puts into question Bennett's relevancy going forward in the meta, as well as how he can facilitate a lot of characters. As you guys may know, a character like Hu Tao doesn't really want Bennett too close into her teams because it kind of actively goes against what Hu Tao is trying to do. And slowly but surely, I do think Bennett will be fizzled out of most meta teams, and he's going to be slotted into certain teams that just benefit him. So overall, I don't think we should be as crazy for Bennett as we used to be, but he's still a really solid character, right? An honorable mention is deserved for Mr. Bennett here. But now let's get into the top pick. It's gonna be Zhongli. I had to give it to Zhongli mainly because miHoYo is now actively trying to hurt shielders, right? Actively trying to make sure that people who are running shield teams struggle. But even then, Zhongli's powers don't just lie because he has a powerful shield. It's because that shield also has AoE shred. It's absolutely the single best skill in the game, and for it to be on an elemental skill, that's just completely absurd. I don't think many people would have gripes with me having Zhongli on a top 5 list, but maybe you guys think that other character is more deserving of the first position. But just letting you guys know the amount of damage that he can add to any character, I'm just saying, right? Any character with his shield can benefit from a huge damage boost as well as great protection. Now, much like Venti, Zhongli functions perfectly fine at C0, and unlike Raiden Shogun, I feel like another reason I didn't put Raiden Shogun on this list is because that for Raiden Shogun to really feel impactful, you do need Constellation 2. Whereas Zhongli, Venti, these characters at Constellation 0 are already hugely influential for all of your teams. You can slap Zhongli even into a pure enameled team, especially like, for example, with Xiao. Xiao can not only benefit from his shield, but also, of course, the AoE shred. What's not to like about this character? I think he is completely overpowered, still hella broken. I do wish miHoYo finds more creative ways to counter Zhongli, but how are you going to do that, right? How are you going to do that? You not only have to counter his shielding, but you have to counter his all resistance shred. How do you counter all resistance shred? The more resistance you add to something, the more you're going to shred off. And I do believe it's a percentage shred. So the higher the percentage, it's only going to incentivize bringing Zhongli. All right, I think I've made my case. If you guys want to argue this, feel free to argue it in the comments, and feel free to tune into my live stream and argue with me live on stream. I don't think I'm too far off from most people's likely top 5 list currently, right? Again, keep saying this is my list. I'm not here to piss people off. I'm just sharing my honest opinion with the current state of the game, my top 5 most invested characters that not only do I use a lot, but I feel like a lot of people could benefit from investing into these characters and making sure they are kitted out and ready to go. All right, that's it. Hope to see you guys during my live stream, and until next time, urge you all to stay safe and peace. Bye bye.